Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Reading Retrospective Tag. This tag was created by Pauline, I think in 2019 or 2018. Regardless, I do have a video of me doing this for 2019. I uploaded it earlier this year because I was being lazy at that time. But this year I'm doing it properly. So there are 10 questions if I'm remembering correctly in this. I have all the answers written down on my laptop, so I will be looking to my right slightly. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this video. So the first question is, which book did you read this year that you would recommend to anyone and why? And so I have actually picked 3 non-fiction books, which is surprising to me. It's not really what I thought I'd be recommending actually when I sat down and sort of briefly thought about the tag. But yeah, let's talk about them. So the first book I'd recommend is Unicorn, the Memoir of a Muslim Drag Queen by Al-Kadhi. I would recommend this book just simply for informing people more about queerness and queer identity and hearing more about stories from backgrounds, from ethnicities that we don't really hear about in terms of LGBTQ+. I really enjoyed Amru's story. Like, I just found it so engaging. I love the way they write. I loved the way they told us sort of their life story and, you know, coming to grips with their queer identity. I just felt like through the writing how heartbreaking like a lot of their life was, and yeah, I would just definitely recommend it to anyone sort of wanting to gain more information about non-binary, maybe about being a drag queen, but yeah, just what it's like navigating your life as a queer person. The other book that I would recommend is Chavs, The Demonization of the Working Class by Owen Jones. I read this earlier this year and honestly I think it was just such a good thing to read, especially just with everything that has been happening with coronavirus and the way that the UK government has been dealing with this. Chavs basically opens up talking about the first chapter about the term chavs and how it's used to sort of, yes, demonize the working class, but then goes on to basically talk about the history of the UK with the working class, basically Labour government and the Conservative government. I just think it's really interesting. It provides such good foundational knowledge for sort of how we've got to this point that we have now, like in terms of like Conservatives winning power quite a lot, and sort of why people are so disillusioned with Labour as well. And yeah, no, I just think it's an excellent read if you're really interested in like knowing about the working class in the UK, but also knowing about a bit of UK politics as well. The other book that I would recommend is also Ain't I a Woman by Bell Hooks. I read this so recently. I talked about it in my November wrap up. I also did like a reading vlog for it as well, but I really enjoyed this book. It definitely is about black women and feminism, and it very much focuses a lot on America, but I think Bell Hooks does a really good way of explaining how sort of women were persecuted when they were brought over from slavery, and sort of does a really good explanation of showing how that history has led us to what we have today and how women are viewed today, and just basically how black women you know, were called to join this fight for feminism, but actually the people in these groups didn't even value black women. I would definitely recommend that as an informative book that really looks at, you know, why perhaps actually feminism has so many different groups and what it means to be, you know, a feminist and how inclusive feminism actually needs to be. So the next question is which book I've read this year that taught me something new, and again I'm gonna go with Unicorn. For the reasons I explained as to why I'd give it to someone, it just gave me so much more information about sort of queer identity, and I can't like thank the book enough for someone to share their personal life, show us how they navigated the difficulty of their lives to someone like me who could never ever fathom like what that could be like. Just amazing. So definitely it taught me something so new about queer identities, and I just love it. Also Chavs, again, it taught me a lot about the working class and how how the middle class basically ridicule them. So insightful. Another book is Why We Sleep. I think the full title is The New Science of Sleep and Dreams. That taught me so much about sleep and sleep hygiene. I very much struggle with sleep, often struggling with insomnia, and it taught me so much about a lot of things and just how much sleep plays a part in your general mood and day-to-day life. Can't fault it enough. Another one that I put, a book that taught me something, which I don't know if I actually wanted to learn what this taught me, but How Prowse Can Change Your Life by Alain de Botton taught me a lot about Proust and his life. Another one is this book, which is Everything Is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. This taught me a lot about like philosophy and other schools of thoughts from philosophers, so I did find it interesting, even if some parts I just found really self-indulgent and irritating, if I'm honest. Another book is Slay in Your Lane by Yomi and Elizabeth. This is about Black British women in the UK, and it just talks about so many different topics, from mental health to university to careers, and it's very much them utilising personal stories, but they're also putting a lot of statistics, so I found it very interesting. Yeah, education, representation, dating, health, so insightful. I can't wait to read this book again, if I'm honest. And then there is also this book, Back to Black, Retelling Black Radicalism for the 21st Century by Kende Andrews. Again, I did a reading vlog about this and spoke about this in my November wrap up. Whilst it wasn't my favourite book, it definitely did teach me a lot. Like, these were things that I completely did not know before, so it definitely taught me a lot. And then in the same vein again, Ain't I a Woman, because it taught me a lot about Black women and feminism. Another book is, which book did you read this year that came at just the right time when you needed it? Very weirdly enough, I'm going to start off with When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This is the first Alyssa Cole book that I've ever read. I know she's actually known for her romance, but she wrote this thriller book. Now, actually, I don't ever really tend to enjoy thrillers, and as a thriller, it was a bit meh for me. But I was listening to like the end of the book, and it was at a time where I was just so pissed off, right? And the end of this book is just so, to me, it's quite funny. Like, I find it a bit like a comedy, because it just feels like a bit of a rampage, and I just felt like what was happening in the book and what like the two main characters were doing, I just felt like that's what I needed. I needed to have two people who were just like, do you know what, we're not going to be able to resolve this legally, let's just do whatever. And honestly, I cannot thank the book. It was like the perfect time. I was listening to it and I was just like, I feel like my anger releasing, so that's why I'm choosing that book. But if I am going to go for a book where I guess I had a bit more emotion towards it, I would definitely say From Pasta to Pigfoot. I read that in lieu of like being able to go to Ghana, because obviously coronavirus, my holiday was cancelled, and it was just really nice to read about someone going to Ghana and like doing the things that I would have wanted to do. So that was just a really nice read, and it really did sort of fill that hole for me. Another book I've also put down is two other books, which is I'm Telling the Truth But I'm Lying by Bassett Igby, and also Freshwater by Kweke Emeze. Both of these, because of the mental health aspects that they included, like they talked about things that I don't really see spoken about in other books, and yeah, they were just kind of, I don't know if I can say what I needed, but they very much allowed me to confront other things and think about other things. And yeah, I think it was needed that I was able to sort of think about how some of the aspects in the book related to my own life. The fourth question is, which book did you read this year that will stay with you for a long time? And that is Black Girl Unlimited. This is Echo Brown's memoir, but it's basically told in the format, it's told for a YA audience, and also has a little bit of magical realism running throughout it. It will stay with me for a long time, because I also feel like Echo talked about a lot of things that I felt growing up, and I don't think I've ever really read a book that spoke about someone at my age who thought all these like really negative things about themselves. And I think it will stay with me because like I saw myself in that book and I want to reread it. Like, it's actually quite sad, the book, if I'm honest. It's quite an emotional attachment that I have to it, but it will stay with me for a long time because she touches on so many different things that I just like, it breaks my heart for her, like it breaks my heart for me, but it will definitely stay with me for a long time because like I'm so grateful for her honesty, so that I could see sort of myself in another book. Another book that's sort of on that same line, but for a completely different reason, I cannot relate to it at all, but it's a book called Staunch. I read it earlier this year, and the reason it will stay with me is because I just found it so joyful and comforting. Like, it's basically a sort of memoir again from another lady, but it's to do with sort of the closeness of relationships she has with sort of her grandma and her aunts, and like they go on holiday to India, and there's a bit of backstory about their family and how they sort of had to like leave India and come to like Glasgow and London and things like that. But there was just such a positive energy from that book. Loads of other rubbish things were happening, but it was that sort of closeness of family and being close to her grandma. There was just something about that that just made me feel so warm, and yeah, and for that reason, like, it will stay with me. The sixth question is, what bookish thing did you particularly enjoy doing, purchasing / using this year? So it's doing / purchasing, whatever. And to be honest, haven't really been doing many bookish things apart from reading and making videos, and obviously like I stopped making videos for like 3 months. But one of the things I really enjoyed, which was to help me sort of tackle my anxiety around my huge stack of unread books, was create my spreadsheet. So I did a video where I sort of walked you through that spreadsheet, and honestly I'm really glad because like I've got a plan for reading those books, so I feel less intimidated by that stack of books. And honestly, like I know it sounds so silly though because it's just a spreadsheet, but it is taking off like so much pressure from me. Like I just feel so happy that there's a plan in place for that. But the other thing that I've really enjoyed doing, and I'm doing it now towards the end of the year, is looking back at my reading and seeing like how I've met my reading goals, and really just looking at like what percentage of my reading has met those reading goals, what's interesting about the sort of books that I've read. So I've really enjoyed sort of just looking back at my reading and sort of like analysing that. Sorry, I skipped a question. That was actually the 6th question that I just read. The 5th question actually is, which book did you read this year that expanded your reading horizons? So that includes a new genre, a new author, a theme, style, or format. And I'm going to say When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, because it is a new author. I definitely want to check out her romance stuff. I'm so excited to read more romance in 2021. I say more, just any romance in 2021. Thrillers are not really a genre that I actually enjoy. I always find them really underwhelming, and this was very much a slow burner, and you know, I felt like the ending saved it, because otherwise this book was going to go down in my estimation. So what it has left me with as well as wanting to read more Alyssa Cole, is to read more thrillers. Like I just want to find a thriller that I'm like, oh my god. Another book is Ain't I a Woman by Black Women in Feminism, for its feminism aspect in its history. Like it was very wonderful to read from Bell Hooks because I've heard so much about her, so it definitely has encouraged me to read more work from her. Another one I've got here is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This is the first James Baldwin that I've read. I have read one of his Penguin essay collection things, whatever, but this has encouraged me to pick up more by him. So that's great, that's a new author. And then I think the other one I put is Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown. You just heard me gush all about her, but I will pick up anything else that she writes. Like I'm so intrigued to see what she does next. And then there is also her murder mystery sort of book that I read, and that is called Murder on Maternity, and it's part of a series, so I'm really looking forward to that. As you know, I've been on my Poirot hype, so it was good to find another detective sort of novel that I like, and this one is just so light-hearted and easy to get through. So those are the books that expanded my reading horizon for sure. I would also say Unicorn as well. Like I definitely want to read more sort of LGBTQ plus literature as well. Can't wait. 2021 is going to be great. So the 7th question is, and this is definitely the 7th, who are some booktubers, subscribers, or other bookish friends that you got to know better this year, whether that be through watching, comments, personal contact online, or in real life, or otherwise? And I think I actually said this again last year, but a subscriber of mine, Vamp Rocks, I do actually know her name, we have just chatted so much more this year, like via Goodreads, and now we're doing a buddy read, and yeah, it's just been really nice, like getting to know her and just sharing our stories. It's been nice. I really do appreciate you. So that's definitely someone that I've like gotten to know a lot more, and I'm really grateful. Like this is so nice about BookTube, and like nice about the internet, that you can just like make friends wherever. The 8th question is, what BookTube videos did you particularly enjoy this year? Basically, I'm going to be a stan and talk about anything by Books by Lainez. I think her real name is actually Helena. I could be wrong, or Helen. I think it's Helen. But specifically 2 videos that I will link in the description box down below, but specifically her videos that she did about sort of reviewing poetry. And I think one is by Naira Waid. I'm sure she did 2 videos on her, one for her poetry collection Salt, and the other one Naima, I think it's called. And then another video she did for a poetry collection, which I think is called Soft Magic. Both those videos were amazing. Like she basically had the videos where she read from the poetry books and had the poetry up on the screen, but then talked about other things to do with the book and how she related to them, whether or not she liked them, and just sort of put the book in a wider context. And hands down, love those videos. If you haven't seen them, like highly recommend you go and watch them, because visually they're very appealing and just they're very informative as well. So the 9th question is, did you discover an all-time favorite book? And yes, like I'm going to do my 2020 best books of 2020 video, but for the sake of this video I'm going to talk about 2 books, because I rate loads of books 5 stars, but actually when I look at the 5-star ones, I'm like, is that the one I want to choose? Is that the one I'm going to choose? But sorry, saying that, my 2020 best books of 2020, I'm going to do that in 2021. So yeah, that'll be a bit of a wait. First one is this book, I'm Telling the Truth But I'm Lying by Bessie Igby. And then also I would say Black Girl Unlimited. Freaking love these books. Both books dealing with black women and mental health. Love it. And the 10th question is tag your favorite bookish people. So I am just going to tag people in the description box down below. So if you are someone who watches my videos and someone I follow and someone I enjoy, I'm going to tag you down in the description box below. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Really enjoy this tag. Like, if you obviously watch this video and you want to do this tag anyway, definitely do it, because I think one of the things I really like about this tag that Pauline created is what I necessarily would sort of talk about in my 2020 books that are my favourites are probably not going to be all of these books. So what this tag really allows you to do is look at your reading and just pick out different books that fit the different questions, but not necessarily as something that it would be the first thing that you spoke about. Like, for example, How Prowess Can Change Your Life. Like, that's not going to come in my 2020 books. Like, I don't feel it will probably come up in my 2020 goals, but other than that, I wouldn't speak about it. But I was able to speak about it here because it is a book that taught me something. So it's a really well-rounded tag. So yeah, thank you, Pauline, for creating it, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye.